Half-Shell Oyster House offers happy hour at the bar and throughout the restaurant every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Happy hour includes $2 off all glasses of wine, liquor, martinis, mixed drinks, and draft beer, $2.50 on all domestic bottled beer, and $3.50 on all craft bottled beer. So come on out to Half-Shell Oyster House, located at 115 Lower Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi, 39232, or you can give them a call at 769-257-7586. And hey, tell them Sonia sent you.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports, and Happy New Year. Today I have with me ESPN Executive Director of the Celebration Bowl and the MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff, Mr. John Grant. Hi, John. How are you? And Happy New Year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here today, and Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us today. It's an honor and a privilege. It really, really is. Thank you. How was your holiday?
It was great. Got a little rest after a lot of work and preparation with the team for this year's bowl game, and been watching a lot of college football, and certainly just looking forward to the ending of this season and starting to work on next season.
Already. So I heard you were an avid golfer. Did you get to golf any?
I did. That's my outlet. So I did get a few rounds in.
That's good. I'm glad you did. So speaking of work, when I was doing my research on you, I learned that you grew up working on a farm. So tell me about that. How was that? Did you start? Because I'm just curious. I'm from Mississippi, but I'm from Jackson, the capital. So I didn't, work on a farm. But how was that for you?
Well, actually, it was a great life when you think about it. That was sort of what we knew. My grandfather farmed. His father was a farmer.
Okay.
And so my father he was actually one of the largest farmers in the county. So he had not us, but he had a lot of people that worked with him and for him during that period. But it really taught you the value of hard work. Yeah. Certainly a love for the outdoors. And so it was, at the time when I was doing it, trust me, I didn't like it, but looking back at it, certainly wouldn't trade it at all for any experience at all. Love the fact, we had a lot of livestock, a lot of acreage that we farmed, and just truly enjoyed it.
Life was so simple then. It's just, we didn't understand it, but we may have to go back to those days because eggs are like $8. It's crazy. Food is so expensive, and it's actually better to build, have your own crops and all that. So it's amazing.
We did. We grew a lot of we had huge gardens. As a matter of fact,
wow.
We provided a lot of the vegetables for the local school system. And so we grew a lot of our own food. We had a huge orchard. So if we would get hungry, my mom would just say, hey, go and get an apple or peach off the tree, or, go pick a tomato or something to that effect. Things were, it required a lot of effort on behalf of myself. I have 4 siblings, so there were 5 of us. But again, the reward for that life experience, I was just saying the other day to some friends that my mom was just tell us, hey, look, go out and play. And we had the wide open spaces to roam. We could walk, back through the woods and just have a great time. You can't let your kids do that now.
They do that now.
For us, she would only say, just be back home before dark. And so it was a great experience.
Good times, good times. So tell us how much of the tools you learned working on a farm you use in your professional life today.
Wow. Well, there are no shortcuts. There were none then. There's certainly, we learned that there aren't any now. You get out of it what you put into it. And certainly my father would always tell us that, one thing for sure is you won't be afraid of hard work. And that is something that was really instrumental in sort of at the core of developing the work ethic we have today. So if I were going to take, any of the things from that, he was always a man. I watched my father. He was always a man of his word. He did what he said he would do.
I love it.
He was always, willing to reach out and help other people. But he also was very committed to excellence. And so that was one of the things that the other things that he instilled within us. And very, very grateful for that.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you mentioned a teacher in your earlier interview as well, named Miss Shaw, and you give her credit for influencing you to go to college. How important was her influence in your college career and your professional career?
Well, she was a Sunday school teacher for me.
Okay.
Yes, and so I never really did a college tour. She brought brochures to us at Sunday school, and so
Wow.
and she was a graduate of St. Aug University, St. Augustine University, but she would talk to us about college. My parents didn't go to college, so I actually selected to go to North Carolina A&T from a brochure. So my first time on the campus was when my parents dropped me off on my first day of that registration. So I credit her a lot for that, because she pushed us beyond our bounds to really want to experience more, and took every opportunity she could to make sure that we, read a lot, that we could be exposed within the framework that she provided for us. And I give her a lot of credit for giving us that push and the confidence that we could.
That's awesome. It amazes me how when I was growing up, the saying was, it took a village. And although your parents did not go to college, they gave you the know-how, taught you how to be a man, taught you how to work hard. But then comes the village to bring that extra part, which is Miss Shaw, to give you a brochure. And you decided from there. That's awesome.
Yes. And that was certainly very true for us. I'll never forget when my mom dropped me off at the school in the first grade. It's interesting, Mike, because my first grade teacher was also a teacher at our Sunday school.
Wow.
And so she introduced, she said, Mrs. Boone, my first grade teacher, this is my son, John. If he gets out of line, I want you to paddle him. She said, don't hit my son in the back. And he has a hand, you paddle his hand and his butt. But if you do that, and you have to do that, I want you to call me. And then she looked at me and said, because he will wish he was never alive.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So did Miss Boone ever have to paddle you?
Never had to paddle me at all. Not at all, because I knew my mom meant that.
She meant that, yeah.
That you're not going to embarrass me and embarrass our family by doing things that you were definitely taught not to do. So
correct. That's yeah. We used to, our neighbors would get us, tell my parents, and then we would get it again. It was just. But I'm not even upset about that, because now neighbors, you barely talk. You don't, you can't say anything to kids anymore. I taught in Dallas in 06 and 07, but I stopped because I was like, I don't have the backing of the parent anymore.
Correct.
And I'm not gonna let children talk to me any kind of way. So, and I enjoy teaching. I taught choir because I was a music major at Jackson State, but I was just like, I can't do this. So I absolutely agree. As I mentioned earlier, with John, you're the executive director of the Celebration Bowl. Just curious, how does one become an executive director of the bowl? I mean, what are the qualifications?
That's a good question because I still don't know the answer to that. It wasn't really something that I was pursuing. I was chief executive for 100 Black Women of Atlanta, and we actually ran a game, the Atlanta Football Classic, that featured Florida A&M and Tennessee State.
Okay.
And when ESPN was looking to launch the bowl game in Atlanta, they reached out to me through the commissioner at that time to have a meeting with them.
Okay.
And so the conversation sort of led to an offer to join ESPN. And I initially was a little hesitant, but just simply because I was enjoying what I was doing. But I enjoy building things, and I saw this really as a great opportunity to build something institutional for historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs,
Okay.
and to work at putting us in a space where we aren't as it relates to being with the other bowl games. And although the Celebration Bowl was sort of a legacy of the Heritage Bowl, which was a legacy of the Pelican Bowl, that it was our desire to make sure we were able to institutionalize this in a way that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that this game would be very, very viable and would certainly be functioning at a level beyond what anyone would imagine today.
Absolutely. And so in 2015, that was the first year the Celebration Bowl was correct?
Correct.
Well, you said ESPN, so who pitched it to ESPN? Did ESPN come to somebody or someone actually pitched it to them?
Dr. Dennis Thomas, who was the commissioner of the MEAC at that time, approached ESPN with the idea to get engaged with the bowl game. It wasn't called the Celebration Bowl at the time; they had no name, because the Heritage Bowl, which preceded that, had actually gone defunct. I think it was back in 1999, around that time, and so pitched the idea to ESPN, and it actually took 10 years after that for the MEAC chancellors and presidents to vote to approve giving up the automatic qualifier to go to the playoffs and actually go to the bowl game. So initially, again, it was his idea to pitch it to them, but as I tell people, there's a lot of great ideas out there that are in file cabinets and some in the trash heap, but because it takes three things to actually put something together. It takes an idea, then it takes someone to finance it, then it takes someone to build it. So it's a three-phase. So certainly applaud Dr. Thomas for the idea. And I applaud, ESPN stepping up and saying, hey, we had to finance this. And then, we were fortunate that we were able to come in with our team and actually build it. And so that's why we have what we have today.
That's awesome. The first time that I actually came to the Celebration Bowl was in 2019, and She Say Sports was just taking off, and I was working with BJ Jones and Charles Bishop. They were showing me the ropes, and I was trying to get on Radio Row. I couldn't get there. Something was going on that they stopped it or whatever, but I was amazed at how it was just like, for us, I had never seen that before. And it was a beautiful thing. And you guys have done an amazing job, truly an amazing job. Absolutely. So John, how does the Celebration Bowl continue to stay nimble in the era of television market share and ever-changing landscape? Simply put, how do fans define what is the growth of the Celebration Bowl?
That's a very good question. I like to, I always begin with the end in mind when I'm looking at anything. And the ultimate goal for us was to build a Super Bowl, to build our Super Bowl. And understanding, what makes a Super Bowl. And so I had a great conversation with Rich McKay, who's the president of the Atlanta Falcons. And he explained to me, he said, John, what makes a Super Bowl is everything that goes on around it. Because once you kick, it's just a football game.
That's it.
And so we began to work with that in mind, recognizing that we could not build that if it was just predicated on the two teams that were playing, that it had to be something much bigger than that. Right. It would have to be something that everyone would embrace. And so, we identified a tagline, the ultimate HBCU homecoming, because as you well know, homecoming means something to us. It means something to our culture. And that if this was going to be our Super Bowl and our homecoming, then it would certainly be inclusive of everyone and all HBCUs, all alumni that were in the space. And we believe that we're on the track to do that now. When the last few years, when you look at the game, and especially this year, you see a lot of people coming to the game wearing their university paraphernalia, and none of them have anything to do with the MEAC or the SWAC. And in conversations we had with fans this year, I asked fans, some fans from Fayetteville State, and I saw some fans from Virginia Union. And I asked them, why are you here? They said, because we're here to support HBCUs. And this is our game. And those are the seeds we really wanted to plant.
I love that. And, as you mentioned, I saw other schools. Well, I saw, like Alcorn, I saw Southern, it was nice to see other SWAC schools coming to participate and attend and actually hopefully supporting the SWAC school, Jackson State. But I mean, it was just great to see them there. It wasn't just Jackson State, it wasn't just North Carolina Central. Like it was all walks of life coming to support HBCU, our Super Bowl.
Well, and that's so true. And I asked several of the Jackson State fans as I was walking around the stadium, would you come back to the game? And the answer is absolutely yes. Because the question, would you come back even if Jackson State were not playing? And the answer was a resounding, I had no one to tell me no. It was a resounding yes. And that's what, again, you want. Because I also use this analogy with people, because we to change a mindset of that is really rooted around, well, if my school's not in it, I'm not going. Right. And to be able to work very hard, Sonia, at changing that. So and using the idea that if someone walked up to you and said, hey, here are 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, you're not going to ask them who's playing.
You're going.
You're going. You're going to take the tickets and you're going. Right. And that's what we want for our Super Bowl, that it doesn't matter who's playing. What matters is that there is an experiential event. There's an opportunity for us to gather. There's the ultimate homecoming that we have, and that people can come together in a venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I think is one of the best in the country, that allows what works for us, which is socialization and connecting, that can happen in that venue. And that is what that's what the Cricket Celebration Bowl is. It is our Super Bowl. It is the ultimate HBCU homecoming. And our hope is that for fans who are there, they go back and tell people, oh my goodness, you missed something. We got to come next year. For fans who are watching, that they're feeling the same way, that, wow, that is amazing. I definitely want to get there next year.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. So, you speaking of fans, the attendance of the 12 bowls of this past bowl season was released on last week, I believe from ESPN. And the Celebration Bowl was number 12, 49,670 in attendance. With these numbers, does this put us in the conversation with the bigger bowl games? And if so, what does this mean for the Celebration Bowl?
Well, that's a very good point that you made. You consider that, including tonight's game, there will be a total of 43 bowl games, including the Celebration Bowl played. We're number 13 out of 43.
That's
So
awesome.
that means there are 30 games that we have a larger attendance than. But if you take the New Year's Six, which are bigger games anyway, they're the largest 6 games plus the championship. That's 7 games that are guaranteed to be bigger than anyone. If you take those out of the mix to create really some parity that's with what the Celebration Bowl is on, we actually moved from 13 down to number 6.
I believe it.
6 out of 36.
That's crazy.
So that's that's amazing when you look at what this bowl game that is the only FCS level bowl game, Division I AA.
Wow.
Number 2 is an HBCU bowl game, which is great for us, and for I would say again, it's ours, and it's a championship game. We can't forget that. So the Cricket Celebration Bowl opens the bowl season with a national championship. And this college football playoff, they close the bowl season with a national championship.
Right.
So it is rightfully so that the Celebration Bowl would have the sort of place that it has in the pantheon of bowl games.
Right. That's awesome. So, John, moving along, do you believe HBCU administrators are ready to allow athletes to lead the way for enrollment? And before you answer that, I understand education is key. First of all, it's very intricate for athletes because they can't play unless they have a certain GPA. So education is still there, but are they ready? What are your thoughts?
We're going to have to be ready. We'll have to be ready, or we will languish. College athletics is without question the front door to any institution.
Absolutely.
No network, no television network or streaming network. Every Saturday there's a 3.5-hour program on academics at a university.
Nope.
It doesn't happen. But yet every Saturday, you have networks carrying sporting events, which in essence is the front door and allows the university to talk about its academic programs. And it's a gateway to revenue. With the marketing exposure today the HBCUs are getting from television. When I started with ESPN, ESPN was carrying 32 games. This year we had over 150.
Wow. Over
150 HBCU games carried on the ESPN.
Wait a minute, HBCU, 100?
150 HBCU games.
Wow.
So you can sit any Saturday. I'd have a game on TV. I'd have a game on my phone. I'd have a game on my computer, and I'd have a game on my iPad, all happening at the same time. And I'm watching HBCU football. This is an unprecedented period.
Yes.
And if our leadership does not recognize the value that athletics has and invest and support it, then our institutions will languish in the backwash of irrelevance. And when I say irrelevance, I don't mean in the terms of what we do academically. We do that, but I'm talking about what it means monetarily.
Correct.
The money is in that space. It drives a lot of things. Television and athletics drives a lot of exposure around any universities. And I was just reading an article about the college football playoffs and what TCU, having made it to the playoffs and now in the national championship, the benefits that they're receiving around the exposure that they were getting, the increase in alumni giving, the increase in corporate giving, the amount of increase that they have in student interest and in applications. And finally, the increase that they're seeing in professors wanting to come on the staff at TCU.
Wow.
All and this is definitely from these are comments from the president of the school in terms of what he's seen. But however, in that space, and keeping in mind in the realm of television, this is relatively new for us at this scale. So I don't know who the president of Alabama is. I don't know who the president of the University of Georgia is, and I'm right here in Georgia. I don't know who the president of Clemson, Ohio State, but I do know who their head coaches are.
Yep.
And those programs, when we get to a place where we don't mind winning coaches being the face of the institutions, because that's what drives revenue to the institution, right, that allows presidents to be able to do the job that they need to do. And you can't do that broke. You can't do it without money, and you can't do it constantly begging. So what motivates alumni? You can talk all we want about, hey, how important it is to invest in our academic programs. And that's important, don't get me wrong.
Very, absolutely.
But what gets us motivated? Put a winning team on the field.
That's right.
And I saw how D.I. Love got really excited over the last 2 years. And I am sure that if you were to ask, you would see the same things that I mentioned, that applications are up at Jackson State, that alumni giving is up at Jackson State.
Sure
that you look at, excuse my language, when you look at when I saw that the city council and the state were talking about, hey, we're looking to build a new stadium for Jackson State, when they couldn't even get that on the radar before.
Sure can.
All those things matter, and for Jackson State University, for North Carolina Central, for every institution that has participated in this bowl game. But not only that, institutions who now get a lot of face time and coverage on television, administrations have to have a plan on how to capitalize on that. And that's where they need to go next.
Absolutely. And you made a very valid point, because Jackson State was like in everybody's face so much the last 3 seasons. I went to go pick up some food I catered from his Mexican restaurant, and this Mexican guy was like, I had on a jacket. He said, "You go to Jackson State?" And I said, "I'm an alum." But he wouldn't have known. I mean, everybody knows the school now, and some people, they're trying to get there. It's just amazing how everything you said, I 100% agree with. It has to happen.
It has to happen, or like I said before, and I think that a lot of that comes from demands from alumni who want to have winning programs, who understand what having a viable program means. And our leadership has to, and I don't knock it, because we're in a new space.
Right.
But they're gonna have to transition with the time, because leadership matters. And if you don't believe athletics is a gateway to growing your institution, ask North Carolina A&T, who won 4 Celebration Bowls, who, when they started in 2015, they were getting about 7,000 applications. But by 2020, they were getting nearly 40,000 applications. And what does that do? It allows you to skim the best off the top, which increases your GPA. It allowed fundraisers to go up 4-fold and held. State appropriations went up. They put signs on highways across the state of North Carolina, North Carolina A&T, national champions.
Wow.
I use that as one example, but it happens everywhere.
Right.
But you have to have a plan, and the leaders have to have a plan. And that plan has to say, you know what? Whatever is in the best interest of my institution. And it doesn't have to be my face. It has to be what is in the best interest of getting the results for our institution. And if that's our athletic program, a head coach, or whatever gets us the visibility we need for television, that's what I need to support and be behind. We're gonna have to get there, or like I said, or we're gonna really languish in the backwash of irrelevance.
That's true. We need to put our pride and ego aside and do what's best for the university. Period.
Correct.
Period. Last question. John, in your own opinion, what was the prime effect on HBCU football, the culture, and is it sustainable without him directly within the culture anymore?
That's, another great question that you ask. And I'm certainly having the opportunity to meet with and have many conversations with Coach Sanders. What he was able to do was it's kind of like a shooting star. If you have a star that shoots across the sky, it's very beautiful. But if you look up, there's still stars in the sky. And I think what Coach Sanders did was bring, what I'll call the Dion effect into the HBCU space, gave a lot of attention to HBCUs and specifically to Jackson State, but more than that, he won. So you can bring attention, but if you don't win, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
He was able to come in and create a winning program, and a lot of it, through a lot of his own investment in doing so. So my hat's off to him for that.
Absolutely.
Will we continue? Absolutely. Again, we have to take advantage of the momentum that was created.
Exactly.
And realize that, none of that is permanent. He wasn't ever here to be permanent.
Absolutely. I thought 4 years tops. I thought at least 4, but he was, absolutely not permanent.
He fulfilled what God's purpose was, and his purpose was for 2 years. And so the question that we have to always ask ourselves is, what are we doing? It's not what he did. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
And what does every alumni of every HBCU, when they look in the mirror, what is it that you are calling on your institution to do? And I'll say again, sports is the front porch. It always is. And we have to push our administrators to recognize that. It doesn't take away from the academics. It actually enhances your opportunity to deliver a higher level of academics because you get more revenue coming into the school. And that's the pedestal on which I stand today. Is the call that we will make unabashedly, because there's a moment that you have to capitalize on that moment. The door opens and then it closes, and it opens and closes. Right now we have a window that's
wide open.
So what are we now prepared to do? What are we prepared to do? And I ask that of the people who, again, alumni of Jackson State, some were upset that Coach Sanders left. But my question comes back, what are you prepared to do? What are you? Write a check to the athletic program. Make a donation to the athletic program. Don't just look and wonder, well, what are they doing for me? What are you doing to make sure that TC Taylor, and I'm using Jackson State because you are an alum there, what are we doing to make sure TC Taylor has all he needs to be successful? Because you know what? Jackson State's going to be opening the season this coming year in August in Atlanta against South Carolina State.
The first team.
It's his first game as head coach going against Celebration Bowl rival from 2021. That's going to be an epic game.
That's going to be epic.
And I know everyone is going to be here to see it, but more importantly, I know everyone's going to be wanting to watch it to see this great rematch. That's what it's called. This is like Ali Frazier, 2 heavyweight titans in a rematch. So we're excited to be able to deliver that this year.
I'm excited. I'm gonna be there with bells and whistles. I will be there, so I'm excited. John, thank you so much for joining the show today. But before we go, I have a game I play, and it's called You Can Get With This or You Can Get With That. And what that is, it's a way for the guests, for the listeners and the guests, for the listeners and myself to get to know the guests better. I'll ask you few questions, and you choose the one that best fits you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would you prefer passion or money?
Passion.
Passion. Tell me why.
Because if I've got passion, I can make money over and over again.
Period. That's true. Would you prefer living in 1969 or 2069?
2069.
Why?
Because I am optimistic about the future. Can't wait to see what it holds. And I know that by then the Celebration Bowl is going to be off the chain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And jets and cars coming in and out. Would you prefer housework or yard work?
Whew, neither.
I know. But if I had to choose, it would be housework because I don't like bugs, so no yard work for me.
Well, I grew up on a farm.
So
And I always said that if I ever get off this farm, I wouldn't do that. So right now with my yard work, I hire people. So it would probably be housework.
Okay, good. Would you want to be the one that everyone calls in an emergency or be the one that everyone goes to for a laugh?
Wow, for a laugh.
For a laugh, yeah. Me too. At a restaurant, you prefer appetizer or dessert?
Appetizer.
What would you eat? What would you buy?
As an appetizer, well, it depends on the restaurant.
Okay.
And I'd say that because, normally dessert is at the last part of the meal. And by then I'm generally
kind of
full.
Well, you know what? And like you said, it depends on the restaurant. And if it's like one of my favorite desserts, I eat kind of light. I'll put half in a box, and then I want that dessert. So yeah, I totally agree. Well, speaking of restaurants, these are two Atlanta restaurants. Which do you prefer, the Capitol Grill or Red Phone Booth?
Capitol Grill.
I love Capitol Grill. Have you ever gone to Red Phone Booth? I wonder, how is it?
It's a cigar bar. And
it's okay.
Yes,
It's not a restaurant?
They serve food, but
Okay.
it's a cigar bar.
Okay.
Primarily, and so I prefer Capitol Grill.
Okay. Do you prefer a road trip or direct flight?
Direct flight.
Really? So no seeing the Americas, you're good with that?
Well, in terms of where I am right now in life, I like to go ahead and get where I'm going because of time. One of my dreams is to just take some time and see America. Mm-hmm. Maybe get an RV or something like that and just take a few months and just kind of tour the country from community to community and
that'll be fun.
See how America lives.
That'll be real fun. Do you prefer to go hunting or go fishing?
Fishing.
Fishing.
I'm not really that big on killing things.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. Oh, wait, did you have to do that on the farm, or you just did the crops and?
No, well, see, that's interesting. That's why I don't have that on killing things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we raised a lot of our food.
Okay.
So whether it was chickens in the yard, Mom would say, "Okay, I want that one right there," and that chicken would be on the plate tonight.
Oh God, no.
It's just I just don't have that much of an affinity for killing things, and if I'm fishing, I can catch and throw it back.
Okay, so you don't take it home and clean it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you do what type of fishing is that?
That's sport fishing. It's
Sport
recreation.
fishing. Okay, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Favorite actor between these two, Danny Glover or Morgan Freeman?
Wow. Morgan Freeman.
What's your favorite movie with Morgan Freeman?
Shawshank Redemption.
That was a good one. You know, I've only seen that once in my life. First of all, it was too emotional. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And then it was a very long movie. So
It was.
it was a great movie. I still remember when he got out of jail and he to the grocery store. That it was just too much.
Yeah. But in the end, you know, he went through all of that, but in the end, he ended up on the beach with his buddy.
He did what? What did he do?
He ended up on the. Remember, he ended
on
up
the beach with his friend out of jail.
And they told him, "Hey, you need to go to this place near this tree, under this rock, and there'd be something there." And he did. He ended up doing that after he couldn't do the grocery store anymore. Remember, he found the money.
Yep.
And there was a note with a map in there, and he followed that, and that's where Andy was on the beach.
Sure did.
So they reunited.
You know what? I haven't seen that in years. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I totally forgot about that part.
It was a great movie. And you know, one other film I love is him as Alex Cross, the private detective.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was good in that. I liked him on Electric Company too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was a little girl. That was my first time seeing him. The last one, would you rather eat dinner with someone famous from the past or the present? And if so, who would it be? Well, who would it be? Either one.
Wow, someone famous from the past or the present. And who would it be? What a great question. I would probably want to eat dinner with someone from the present.
Okay.
And that person whom I've had dinner with before, Ambassador Andrew Young.
Like that.
I have immense respect. Like I said, I've had many just conversations with him, and he's one of those people that you can sit down with, but you never get enough. And a big part of me doing what I'm doing today is because of him and what advice he gave me a few years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He seems like he's a person that you can just keep gleaning from, just learning, and wow, that's awesome. Well, I have several, but she's the reason why I'm doing this. First of all, I would love her on the show. In Jesus' name, she coming. But the second one, I would love to just sit and talk with her.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She was definitely a pioneer.
Yes.
In the sporting space. A lot of respect for what she did, but she opened the door to a lot of women that are on, in sports today. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily knowing what she may have had to endure when, being the first.
Yeah, because that was in 1978.
Correct. But, people like you right now doing what you do is because of Jane Kennedy.
Yeah. Awesome, lady. Well, John, please tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media and get more information about the celebration, the Celebration Bowl, or we'll just give them the online information. Yeah. So
you can certainly visit our website, the two events, which is MEAC SWAC Challenge.com and also thecelebrationbowl.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at J Grant ESPN and John Grant ESPN on Twitter. Okay, and that MEAC SWAC, is that MEAC /SWAC? Yes, MEAC/SWAC.com. Okay, so you'll know to put that on the screen. Okay, and tell people, make sure that when tickets go on sale, don't get caught like a lot of Jacksonians did. Jackson State got caught at the Celebration Bowl with unable to get tickets because they waited. I saw that. I don't know why sometimes our culture, we wait till because I guess sometimes we don't think, but people are already booking rooms. They started that this past week. Correct. I talked to a gentleman
Saturday. We were watching the football game after I left Jackson State basketball game, and he said, "Well, I booked my room yesterday." But he thought it was gonna be at the Mercedes-Benz, and we was like, "No." He was talking about, I said, "No." So he had to switch it. He was like, "Thank God I saw y'all," because I mean, people are booking now.
Yeah, and the host hotel for that game for Jackson State is going to be the Atlanta Airport Marriott. That's where.
Okay,
that's the host hotel for the SWAC team for the kickoff game.
Okay, good deal.
The Atlanta Airport Marriott, and we'll be putting that information be coming up on our website within the next week or two.
Okay, awesome. And guys, you can follow me at She Say Sports on Facebook, She Say Sports 23 on Instagram, at She Say 23 on Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. Well, until next time, this is Sonia with She Say Sports.